Pause for a moment, because this might be the most important mindset message you hear today. Most people are not destroyed by external forces, but by their own repeated, unconscious, self-sabotaging habits. The Stoics warned us centuries ago that a human being who lacks inner discipline becomes his own enemy. And today, this is visible everywhere, people blaming destiny for the outcomes they consciously create. This video will expose 10 foolish patterns that silently weaken your mind, control your behavior, and lower your potential. Don't skip, because every point reveals a hidden trap the average person never sees in themselves. Watch until the very end and subscribe, because this channel exists to make you mentally stronger than the world around you. 1. They compare their life to others. Foolish people drown themselves emotionally by constantly watching someone else's progress instead of investing in their own. They scroll through social media, comparing cars, bodies, followers, careers, and then wonder why their confidence feels fragile. Comparison replaces gratitude with envy, and envy breaks the ability to focus. Stoicism teaches, your path is your responsibility. Another person's speed is irrelevant to your destiny. If you're always measuring yourself against someone else's timeline, you'll never build your own. The wise understand what matters is daily improvement, not immediate validation. When you compare, you waste energy you desperately need for progress. Ask yourself, what can I do better today? Not who is ahead of me. 2. They talk more than they act. Foolish people fall in love with the idea of progress, not the discipline required to achieve it. They talk endlessly about the future they plan to have, but they never inconvenience themselves to get there. They stay busy with ideas, but empty in execution. Stoics believe that your actions reveal your philosophy, not your words. Talking gives the feeling of momentum, but it's fake momentum. Talking is a drug because it allows you to taste the fantasy without paying the price of reality. Wise people stay quiet because they are too occupied doing the work. If you want to transform your life, lower your voice, increase your discipline, and let the results become your announcement. 3. They react emotionally to everything. The foolish mind allows emotion to rule instantly, without filter, without analysis, without control. They lash out in anger, they panic under pressure, they speak before thinking, and later regret the chaos they created. Stoicism taught the mastery of the pause, the sacred moment between stimulus and reaction. When you react impulsively, you surrender control to your emotion, and emotion rarely aims toward the best outcome. The wise don't trust the first emotion, they wait until logic returns. A calm mind can see clearly what a reactive mind distorts. When you feel triggered, breathe, withdraw. Observe your own reaction before letting words escape. A single moment of restraint has saved more lives, reputations, and relationships than any argument ever has. 4. They chase pleasure behaviors consciously. Most problems are not rooted in ignorance, but in unexamined habits. When you become brutally honest with yourself, life becomes simpler, clearer, and easier to control.
5th, they practice zero self-reflection. Foolish people repeat the same mistakes year after year because they never sit with themselves long enough to examine their own patterns. They blame the world, they blame other people, they blame bad luck, but they refuse to ask the only question that matters. What role did I play in this outcome? You cannot fix what you do not acknowledge. Stoicism teaches the importance of daily self-inspection because blind spots are silent assassins. A wise person writes down their day, their mistakes, their emotional triggers, and then corrects behaviors consciously. Most problems are not rooted in ignorance, but in unexamined habits. When you become brutally honest with yourself, life becomes simpler, clearer, and easier to control.
6. They allow external opinions to control them. Most human beings are not living their life. They are living society's expectations. They pick careers based on approval, dress to impress strangers, limit their goals to avoid criticism, and hide their real self to avoid rejection. That is slavery, psychological slavery. Stoic wisdom teaches, other people's opinions are not obligations. A wise individual creates standards from within, not from applause outside. People will always judge you, whether you succeed or fail, so choose the path that honors your soul, not the path that earns temporary validation. When you detach from external approval, you unlock a new level of freedom, the freedom to live authentically, to make bold decisions, and to pursue a life that is yours. 7. They refuse to learn new skills. Foolish minds resist growth because growth exposes their current inadequacy. They'd rather stay comfortable with the skills they already know than humble themselves to learn something new. But the world evolves, and those who do not evolve become outdated. The Stoics valued continuous education because they understood that learning is not about ego, it's about survival. Each skill you gain increases your leverage. Each new knowledge increases your value. New skills open doors that old habits cannot. The foolish say, I already know. The wise ask, what else can I master? The future does not belong to the strongest, it belongs to the most adaptable. The day you stop learning is the day you start dying mentally.
8. They take everything personally. Foolish people are constantly offended because they interpret every word through the lens of insecurity. They assume insult where none existed. They turn feedback into disrespect, advice into attack, and neutral comments into emotional wounds. This behavior drains their peace and destroys relationships. Stoicism teaches detachment, the understanding that other people's behavior is a reflection of their character, not your worth. When you stop personalizing everything, you become emotionally untouchable. Peace is not achieved when the world becomes nicer. Peace is achieved when your interpretation becomes wiser. Don't give strangers the power to control your mood. Strong minds filter insults through logic, not emotion. You don't need to react to everything. Sometimes silence is the ultimate flex. 9. They spend money to impress others. Foolish people destroy their financial future trying to look successful. Instead of actually building success, they buy temporary symbols, expensive clothes, expensive gadgets, designer labels, all for validation, not necessity. This is how debt becomes a lifestyle. The Stoics defined wealth as having fewer dependencies, not more expenses. Real status comes from having options, not luxury. Financial power is the ability to say no, not the ability to overspend. People who overspend are not rich, they are enslaved to their image. The wise delay gratification and invest in assets, not applause. The goal should never be to look wealthy. The goal should be to actually be wealthy by owning your future, not renting status.
10. They complain instead of taking responsibility. Complaining is the most common addiction among the powerless. It gives emotional relief without requiring change. It protects the ego, but destroys progress. The Stoics taught that you cannot control everything, but you are 100% responsible for how you respond. Life doesn't change when you blame others. Life changes when you start adjusting your habits, discipline, mindset, consistency, and choices. The difference between losers and leaders is not intelligence. It is accountability. When something is not working, the wise ask, "How do I fix this?" while the foolish cry, "Why is this happening to me?" Complaining is the language of stagnation. Action is the language of transformation. Your future is shaped by what you do, not what you complain about. Which of these 10 points slapped you the hardest? Be honest. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe 10. Write the number in the comments because admitting it is the first step towards changing it. And if you want more powerful, mind-rebuilding Stoic content like this, subscribe right now. Don't just watch motivation. Become the person who actually applies wisdom. Your transformation begins with your next decision, not your next excuse.